Hope you enjoyed the lunch time. Apologize for the delay. Apparently, when we go international, not everybody has the same sense of time schedule. So apologize for the delay on the agenda. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the lunchtime. I hope you enjoyed the gastronomy, which is one of the strong points here in Spain. Hope you enjoyed. And as Laura just said, we go for the last round table. We go for the local policies, completing all the different levels of the policies. And we go, as I was saying, for the local policies. Therefore, I call to the scenario, first of all, Ayuntamiento de Barcelona, Ángel López, welcome. We will join colleagues from Milan. Of course, Italy is always a reference when we talk about motorcycling. Unfortunately, our colleagues from Milano, they could not join us. They were called for a budget meeting, and budget is always an important issue. So, unfortunately, in last minute, they had to decide to participate online. And we also call another nice sample from Latin America, from Brazil, from the Sao Paulo Traffic Engineering Company. Please, Mr. Walter Ferreira Valdao, Traffic Planning and Projects Deputy Director, welcome. And Daniel Sato, Governance Officer, also from the Sao Paulo Traffic Engineering Company, welcome. Welcome you all. And we start with the sample of a European city, which is Barcelona. When we talk about Barcelona, it's not one more European city, but it's the most motorcycle crowded city in Europe. Rome, in absolute figures, would be the highest number of motorcyclists in the fleet. But Barcelona, in rate per inhabitant, I think you're the most motorcycling crowded city in Europe. Ángel López Rodríguez es doctor ingeniero de Caminos, Canales y Puertos.
He is director Barcelona, and currently he is the coordinator of mobility at the Barcelona City Council. Previously, he was director of mobility at the City Council from 2001 to 2012. So he has a very wide experience when it comes to mobility. And previously, he held different roles in high technology companies. He developed great projects of mobility for city councils, such as in Madrid, Barcelona, and the Generalitat of Catalonia, and the DGT, as well as the Development Ministry in Spain. So you have experience in all the levels of administration. His priority areas are parkings, public transport systems, and the implementation of electromobility strategies. Thank you very much for being here, Ángel, and we are very much interested in hearing more about the case of Barcelona. Thank you very much. Now I'll try to explain the case of Barcelona. I don't really know where to position myself.
I think it will be better for all of us because my English is not so perfect like my Spanish, obviously. Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much to Anestor and the International Motorcycle Road Safety for inviting Barcelona to this Congress. I don't know whether we're the city with more density of motorcycles in Europe, but it is true that we've made great efforts to include motorcycle in sustainable mobility in our city. I would like to say something to the organization and allow me to be critical. Haven't you found any bigger motorcycle to exhibit it here? Because none of those motorcycles can be adapted to the urban space. We have it at the end of the corridor. So please, once we are done with this session, go to that area, go to your left, because you will find the many options of mopes and PTW. This morning, a lot was said about the motorcycle, and I was missing, to be honest, some basic motorcycles, because we have big motorcycles here, and I wanted to have a further analysis about the urban environment. In Barcelona, we think that the motorcycle situation is very different from the urban space to the road space. First of all, there are lots of guardrails in this country, which we defended for a long time, and now there are no guardrails in these cities, but there are many traffic lights, there are many bins that can be obstacles, and they can be a risk for the riders, and we cannot avoid them. So, as you can see, the treatment should be different. And you don't need to think that we will be presenting many new things, because honestly, we've done a great deal of new things. Now we're in a moment where we should reflect. We should reflect upon how to develop innovation that will allow us to have a greater safety of motorcycles in our streets and not so much in our roads. We will begin with some data, because some people may not know the case of Barcelona. Barcelona has 1.6 million inhabitants in just 100 square kilometers, so there is a high density of population, and this has a repercussion on the movements, vehicles and motorcycles. Currently, we have 300,000 motorcycles registered in Barcelona, so you can make the calculations. Just 80,000 are motorcycles. In Barcelona, the classical motorcycle has 125 to 250 cc. It is rather electrical and with a high tire. So these are the characteristics that we see in our motorcycles. Riders in Barcelona prefer this high tire because this ensures a greater stability. The metropolitan area covers 3.2 million inhabitants, and this is 6 times bigger. So once we leave the municipal area, the density falls, there is not so much public transport, and therefore motor transport with commuters has a great impact in the city. The amount of trips is 7.8 million trips per day, out of which 5 million are internal trips. So both the origin and destination are within the city. There are 2 million commuters every day and almost 800,000 tourists that come to Barcelona. As we said before, Barcelona is a very highly touristic city, and therefore it's as if we had an 11th district with the tourists that come every day. We also have a global model split. We are a little city with Mediterranean environment, and many people like walking. You need to realize that the greatest distance to walk from one extreme of the city to the other is just 2 to 5 kilometers. That would be the average, and therefore people like walking, and it is easy to go by walk. 30% comes from public transport, 4% is done in bicycle, and 23% is done with private transport, with mopes or with PTW. 1/3 of the internal movements, that is out of the 5 million, are done with a motorcycle. So almost 500,000 of the movements done per day are with a motorcycle in this city. Here we can see the motorcycle legacy in Barcelona. There are many manufacturing companies in Barcelona, the champions of the world in every category of motorcycle. We have the motorcycle fairs, the strikes from citizens and the protests because they want to defend their role of motorcycles in the city. And we also have the innovation. I would say 20 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, we had a special area for motorcycles, and this was thought of as a solution to avoid the risk of crashes between vehicles and motorcycles. And since 15 years ago, we started with the motor sharing solution. So motorcycle in Barcelona is something which is not new. I won't be telling you anything new, but I will tell you that the motorcycle is included in mobility planning. This can be found in mobility planning and sustainable mobility. We do not only talk about the private vehicle. We have incorporated the motorcycle, different categories we see, whether it is on the road, the street, and we know, or we try to know, what really happens with the use of motorcycles. When it comes to mobility management, well, motorcycle is more and more present. We have serious discussions about where to park the motorcycles. As I said before, we have 80,000 motorcycles and more than 200,000 cycles in Barcelona. So parking in Barcelona and the desire to reach the destination is a bit difficult. So how do we solve this? How do we manage this situation? Well, we are doing a great design effort to see where to park, how to manage these spaces with supervision. As Roy was saying before, we are also Latin, and there is someone who needs, there should be someone supervising the acoustic emissions. In this case, we have some informants who analyze the parked motorcycles, and when they see a user, they ask, would you want me to analyze the emission of acoustic emissions? Well, with supervision and training and programs, this is what we've been doing. Here you will see the evolution of motorcycle parking on the street. As you will see, from 2014, 65,000 up to 93,000 slots currently for 300,000 motorcycles that are registered in Barcelona. Here we can see the accident rate. This corroborates that we have the data, and this reinforces how serious the data are. In this slide, we will see the accident rate within 24 hours, the general category and the motorcycle category. Approximately 50% in absolute numbers, 50% of dead people in our city come from motorcycles. This is a very serious number. Then the next category is pedestrians. And some of these pedestrians are crushed by motorcycles. So, as you can see, this is our crucial thing for us. We can understand the advantages of motorcycles, and we want to realize that motorcycles are a great advantage. Here we can see the great impact in serious injured people in PTW, and the same goes for involved vehicles. Even if they do not cause any injuries, they are a very important factor in accidents. In the lower part, you will find the motorcycle. Motorcycles are disappearing. Mopes are disappearing except in the motor sharing services. Ever since DGT approved the M+3, the use of motorcycles above 125 is higher. We understand that motorcycle is safer than mopes, and that's why there is a decrease of mopes, and they are in historical low models and low numbers compared to motorcycles. And therefore, we should now focus on 125 to 250 motorcycles and their accident rates. Compared to what we've seen in other countries and regions, perhaps we are doing well, I would say. This is the same graphic, and here we could make some more comments. But the question is, what are we doing? Well, first of all, we are rethinking everything we've done. We already implemented the use of helmets in the 90s. The special areas for motorcycles were implemented in 2004. The areas 30 kilometers per hour come from 2010, especially since this is allowed by the legislation. So the greatest solutions have already been implemented. And now what we're currently doing, and this is just a draft, so you won't be able to read it, this is a new action line where three main axes can be found. First, it is a statement. Here we say we want the use of motorcycles, because Barcelona without the motorcycle wouldn't be Barcelona, but we need a safe, tidy and safe motorcycle. Those will be the three main axes of this strategy. First, we have the statement about the use of motorcycle, the energy transition, especially with electric motorcycles, and finally, how to park motorbikes. There are up until 12 measures that are intended to improve the statistics with crashes when there is a biker involved. We know that we have a lot of data from the police, we have a lot of data about the accidents, and we need to make good use of it. Then later on we'll have the motorcycle observatory, will have different diagnosis, specific campaigns, which will be incorporated into the urban plan, some preventive plans for motorcycle safety. And for example, one of the areas where we used to have lots of accidents was the Aragon Avenue in Barcelona. Now we've stopped having serious accidents due to a high speed. So we've won one of the battles, which is the speed excess. Now we should take good care of the reckless behavior, because I know this is also happening in other cities. We have some specific plans for motorcycles. We have identified the accident areas and see what we can do about it. For example, reduce the obstacles, provide better signs to be understood by the motorcycle driver, and also some guidelines. For example, the protective equipment with the helmet, with the vest. The helmet has been compulsory since many decades ago in Barcelona. We also have some training courses in Barcelona so that our bikers can get back their points. I hope that this will be strengthened in the future. And here I could tell you some anecdotes about what they used to separate the bicycle lanes. First they were steel, then they were made in plastic, and we found ourselves situations where they filled this with concrete because they bent. So, yeah, many anecdotes. We also have the impact of motor sharing in road safety, and there are also other innovations that we are testing. For example, ARAS, which is the sign system for riders, also for goods with some municipal companies. And here we can see that the alert system provided by motorcycle in just a few months, because this is from October 2023 up until February 2024, the number of warnings has been significantly decreased. And here the safety has been improved because the driver won't be doing these things anymore. And of course, we are open because in any congress such as this one, we are all ears and we'll always try to incorporate the new things into our programs. That's all. Thank you very much, and apologies for this slight delay.
Muchas gracias, Ángel. Yo creo que son 5 minutos muy aprovechados.
Thank you very much, Angel. It's okay if you talked for 5 additional minutes, and please pay attention because I saw some people taking some pictures at the draft, and we also feel part of this draft because we have been working very closely with the Barcelona City Council. If Barcelona is a reference now, I would say that Italy clearly is a reference country in motorcycles, and especially within Italy, the city of Milan is the fashion city, but also one of the main cities in the north of Europe and with an intensive use of motorcycles. So we think it is a very good example in this roundtable, because now we are delving into the urban policies, which we didn't say this morning. We have invited Valentino Cervino. As I said before, he cannot attend due to some budget meetings. He couldn't travel to Zaragoza, but we've been able to get his statements from Valentino Cervino. He is the Director General and Interim Mobility Planning Area Director in the city of Milan. As I said, he is the General Director of AMAT. This is the mobility agency territory. This is a consultant company which is totally owned by the Milan City Council, and they work on the technical studies of urban mobility, the environment quality. Also, Valentino has a degree on architecture by the Polytechnical University of Milan. He has a master's degree specialized on environmental engineering. He's expert in sustainable mobility and responsible for the planning and execution of projects such as mobility, shared mobility, urban logistics, planning of traffic, roads, infrastructure, planning of public transport, management of European and regional projects in urban mobility and environment. So as you can see, he's an excellent person to talk about the case of Milan. Now, I will ask my colleagues to play the video that we have from Valentino.
Good afternoon, everybody. First of all, to thank the organizer for the invitation, and I apologize for not being there, but a very important commitment this morning keeping me in Milan. But I wanted to attend this very important event anyway. So I'm Valentino Cervino. I'm the General Director of AMAT. AMAT is a company owned 100% by the city of Milan, and AMAT provide to support the city of Milan in order to define policy, study, and project in relation to the mobility, environment, energy, infrastructure, and urban plan. Focusing on the subject we discussing this afternoon in this conference, I would like to start with our Sustainable Urban Mobility Plan. As you know, the Sustainable Urban Mobility Plan is a very important document for the city in order to define the strategy and the policy in relation to the mobility for the next 10 years. The Sustainable Urban Mobility Plan developed by AMAT for the city of Milan is based on 4 principal pillars: sustainable mobility, equity, security and social cohesion, environmental quality, and innovation and economic efficiency for the transport. The road safety is under the second pillar, equity, security and social cohesion. Under inside this plan, the most important target to reduce congestion and to join the goal are exactly focused in relation to the increase of the public transport modal share, reducing floor capacity during the peak hour, increase the public transport commercial speed, reduce the car ownership, and reduce the atmospheric emission caused by the transport. How our Sustainable Urban Mobility Plan is composed? Our Sustainable Urban Mobility Plan is composed by 4 important chapters. Milan Metropolitan City, in order to define the modality and the integration of the mobility systems to support the travel between the city of Milan and the metropolitan areas. The second is in relation to urban accessibility by public transport. The third is in relation to urban space as a common good. And the fourth is in relation to the freight and people mobility demand management. The road safety is on the third chapter, urban space as a common good. The measure in relation to the subject urban space and a common good are zero risk vision for the city of Milan. And the action in order to join the goal to the zero risk vision are the classification of the road network to promote greater safety, renewal of access and nodes, 30 km/h speed limit zone in our city, pedestrian zone, pedestrian path, school mobility plan, and coordinating policy for road safety. Other aspect in relation to this specific pillar is the road network in relation to the road renovation and repair intervention, and the policy in relation to the cycle mobility in order to create a network, service, and communication and marketing. Year by year, we reduce the number of accident and injury and the fatality caused by the accident we have. Starting from 2018, for instance, we reduced a lot the number of accidents from 8,000 in 2018 to more or less 6,000 in 2023. In relation to the injury caused by those accidents, we reduced it from more than 10,000 injury in 2018 to more or less 7,000 injury in 2023. In relation to the fatalities caused by those accidents, in 2018, we had 46 fatalities, and in 2023, we had 33 fatalities. Focusing on specific subject of the motorcyclist, we reduced a lot the number of accidents in relation to the motorcyclists. But in any case, one accident every three is involve a motorcyclist. But the reduction year by year is a very, very important effort provided by the city of Milan. In 2018, we had 3,000 accidents involving motorcyclists, and in 2023 we had 2,000, more or less 2,000 accidents involving motorcyclists. In relation to the fatality, in 2018 we had 15 fatalities with motorcyclists, and in 2023 6 fatalities. We reduced it a lot, but we need to work strongly in order to create the really zero vision for the road safety. What are the most important typology of accident involving motorcyclists? The most important typology of accident involving motorcyclists are in relation to running off the roadway, and fall from vehicle, and frontal and lateral collision. The most important road safety action we are providing in our city for motorcyclists, but in general to reduce the number of accidents, are strongly focused on the creation of the speed restriction policy to create a limited traffic zone with 30 km/h or 15 km/h in specific areas of our city, specifically in our congestion charge areas. As you know, in Milan, we have a congestion charge area in the very inner part of our city, and the goal is to have this congestion charge area at 30 km/h speed limit. We are working to keeping out from the line from the reserved lanes for the public transport, to keeping out the motorcyclists from several reserved lanes for the public transport, because we have a lot of accidents inside those reserved lanes, and we are working in order to improve the parking space for the motorcyclists, because is a very, very important part of our modal share in our city, the use of the motorcycle. And we are creating a task force on road safety in order to involve all the professionality in our city. And we, as you know, in Milan, we have a very, very important shared mobility system, a very developed shared mobility system. And we oblige the company provide a sharing mobility system, specifically in relation to the scooter sharing operator. They are obliged to create a road safety campaign in order to improve this policy in our city. Thank you for your attention, and for any needs, you can write me by email, and I'm available for questions. Thank you.
Muy bien, pues ciertamente hay similitudes.
Okay, thank you. So there are a lot of similarities between the city of Milan and Barcelona. I think that there are two good examples of European cities which have a lot of motorbikes as part of the mobility system. But since we are an international conference, we also wanted to have other perspectives. So we are very happy to have here someone from Sao Paulo, Valtair Ferreira Baladao, Traffic Planning and Project Deputy Director, and
Walter is
Walter has a degree in civil engineering by the University of Sao Paulo. He is deputy director of the traffic projects in the city of Sao Paulo. He has worked there for more than 45 years, a good amount of years, very long experience. He's worked in traffic engineering, and he's now the main responsible for the motorcycle project Blue Lane. He has been a leader in traffic management. He's been involved in different projects like marketing, road use education, always focusing in road safety and sustainability. It's a pleasure to have him with us, and we really want to know more because I think you have been pioneers with that project Faixa Azul, the Blue Lane. So you have the floor.
Boa tarde a todos. Primeiramente, o agradecimento à Nesterdol e à DGT pelo convite e a participação no Congresso. Partindo do princípio que visão zero, nenhuma morte ou lesão grave é aceitável no trânsito, seres humanos cometem erros e o corpo humano é vulnerável. A Faixa Azul é um projeto experimental e inovador que visa a redução de mortes e acidentes com severidade dos condutores de motociclistas e motos. É baseado na visão zero e no sistema seguro. Esse projeto consiste em reorganizar os espaços viários, obtendo um tráfego mais seguro, conforto e principalmente reduzir o conflito entre a moto e o automóvel. Suas premissas foram observar o comportamento e hábitos do motociclista, delimitando o espaço que é usualmente utilizado nas situações de congestionamento, trazendo então mais conforto a todos os usuários sem comprometer a capacidade da via e prejudicar os demais usos, como o transporte público, a bicicleta e outros modais.
So, thank you very much. We want to Direção General de Tráfico for our invitation. It's a pleasure to be here in this joint endeavor to improve the motorcycle safety. As Mr. Ferreira said, the Blue Lane is an experimental project that we are going into São Paulo. One important point, its premises was to observe the behavior and habits of motorcyclists. We will see forward what the situation in congestion situations. So I want to highlight that in the year of the deployment of the first project in 2022, our National Secretariat of Traffic awarded this project as a winner.
São alguns dados da cidade de São Paulo e eu quero aqui também mencionar que todos os dados, estudos estão concentrados na cidade de São Paulo somente. É uma frota de aproximadamente 9 milhões de veículos, com 1,3 milhões de motos existentes hoje na cidade de São Paulo. E desse total, as motocicletas são responsáveis por 33% dos acidentes envolvendo motos e o automóvel de 41,3%, ou seja, está muito próximo a moto do automóvel em relação aos acidentes que ocorrem.
As we saw in the other countries, the motorcycle in the traffic accidents are a highlight. For your information, in 2022, Brazil has produced 1.3 million motorcycles. 92% of these motorcycles are above 300 cc. São Paulo City has about 1.3 million motorcycles. We have a 70% aumento since 2008. There's about 15% of total fleet of our city.
Ok. Somente um pouco dos tratamentos que foram elaborados e implantados na cidade de São Paulo e também em outros centros, grandes centros, eu acredito. O trem teve o tratamento e o metrô, junto com os trilhos, numa área segregada. O ciclista, através das ciclovias e ciclofaixas, também tem o seu espaço. O transporte coletivo, com as faixas e corredores exclusivas, também com seu espaço. O veículo organizado através de pinturas no solo e faixas delimitadas. Porém, a moto, ela disputa o espaço entre os veículos. Como vemos ali circundado, as motos tentando ultrapassagem numa situação bem difícil.
So here we would like to show you that the train and the subway have their spaces, the cyclists too, and the motorcycles shares the space with the cars on the main highways. We highlighted the motorcycles where they go. So they go between the cars when the traffic is a congestion situation and honking their horn all the time. And there's a tension between the drivers and the motorcycles because many times motorcycles drives many aggressively. And we want to take care about this situation.
Como foi comentado, o projeto prevê uma sinalização no solo, de forma reorganizando os espaços, sem alteração do hábito da moto, que sempre se procura circular entre a faixa 1 e 2 da via com canteiro central. Também não trazendo prejuízo ao transporte coletivo, é uma pista com 4 faixas, mais o transporte. Na segunda imagem, o ônibus está à esquerda e então a faixa azul vai entre a faixa 2 e 3 e nunca junto ao ônibus ou um caminhão que é muito risco de envolver um acidente quando a moto trafega junto a um veículo maior, como é o caso de um ônibus. Então, sempre buscando não mudar a configuração da via e reorganizar de forma que ele tenha o seu espaço mais seguro e mais confortável, para ambos os usos, tanto o automóvel como a moto.
So, on the left, we can see the behavior of the motorcyclists. They usually use the space between lanes 1 and 2, between the cars. We want to organize that behavior. And to the right, we can see the bus lane on the left and at lane 1 and lane 2. And between lane 2 and 3, we put the motorcycles to get this a little far from the biggest buses.
Foi um projeto por ser inovador, desconhecido, houve a participação de vários sindicatos, associações, outros segmentos que também trabalham com moto e também o corpo operacional dos agentes de trânsito da cidade. Esses agentes são motociclistas que trabalham na operação do trânsito, então foi muito importante a participação deles, na medida que eles também sofrem o problema da moto no meio do trânsito. Então, com sugestões, também com alguns pontos que deveriam ser considerados no projeto e foram absorvidos ainda na época dos estudos, ainda na elaboração dos estudos das análises.
This picture takes that we involved all the technicians, both engineers and both our operational technicians, to put them to talk and to get opinions. We involved to the motorcycle associations and motorcyclist unions to get their opinion and try to make the best with that all.
Também tivemos a preocupação de experimentar o tipo de tinta que iria ser implantado com relação à aderência a questões de escorregamento, a pista molhada, a pista seca, a largura também, porque não tínhamos a ideia, mas não tínhamos a prática de concluir o projeto de uma forma que atendesse pelo menos uma média de motos que sempre são as menores, de 100 a 300 cilindradas, porém tem as maiores. Então, como vemos aqui, inclusive a participação das motos de serviços da cidade de São Paulo, uma situação bem próxima da realidade, e foi bastante benéfico toda essa participação e essa experiência que foi feita dentro do Centro de Treinamento de Educação da Companhia de Engenharia de Tráfego em São Paulo.
So we took special attention and we developed a paint, horizontal signaling with the manufacturers to get the appropriate sign, and we take operational tests about the width of the lane, and this is our traffic education training center.
Antes da implantação e durante foi feita ampla divulgação através da mídia, redes sociais, faixas na pista, painéis, banners e outros segmentos também, de forma que toda a população conhecesse o projeto, dado a novidade que iria se implantar numa pista, uma nova sinalização para um novo uso, onde deveria haver uma uniformidade e um respeito entre ambos os modais, e não mais como hoje funciona e circulam numa via que não tem a faixa azul.
Due to the innovative characteristics of this project, we get a big disclosure campaign to take information to all the users of our streets.
Também tivemos a preocupação de implantar placas, chamadas placas educativas, para que alertasse o início da faixa azul em determinado trecho de uma via, o término, também a atenção por parte do motorista do automóvel e também da moto, que ambos se respeitassem para que houvesse, que conseguisse o objetivo que era reduzir mortes e acidentes com severidade. Como eu disse no início, todas essas placas foram implantadas de formas a ajudar, a auxiliar na compreensão de ambos os condutores.
So this is the specially designed signs, traffic signs, that we designed just for this project due to its innovative characteristic.
Ok. É um projeto, iniciou com uma via, posteriormente implantamos na segunda, totalizando 22 quilômetros. Depois, na sequência, mais 8 vias, totalizando 90 quilômetros, que hoje estão implantados na cidade de São Paulo. Tem, dentro do plano de meta da Prefeitura, vamos chegar até dezembro de 2024 com 200 quilômetros. Este projeto está dentro de um plano maior, que seria criar vias conectadas, de forma que a moto não mais use somente uma ou duas vias que normalmente utilizam, e sim vai utilizar o espaço, uma via com a faixa azul, onde ele vai ter mais segurança e vai chegar primeiro, ele não vai ser mais necessário a disputa com outros veículos, que muitas vezes, além do acidente, atrasa a viagem. Então, com a faixa azul, tem um plano que pretendemos ampliar. Numa cidade com 20 mil quilômetros de viário, 200 quilômetros é muito pouco, mas já é o começo e os resultados são bastante positivos.
So we have the São Paulo city map. On the left, we have the actual situation. We have deployed 19 kilometers of the faixa azul, the blue lane. The first of the deployment was on January 2002, and since then we could reduce the severity of the injuries. On the right map is our aiming to the end of 2024 that reaches 200 kilometers.
À esquerda, a primeira foto, podemos ver uma via com a faixa azul implantada, com taxas também refletivas, onde à noite, principalmente, ela tem uma refletividade sob a luz do veículo e da moto, e que tem um grande benefício em favor da segurança. Segunda foto é um tratamento onde eu tenho uma conversão à esquerda, onde a faixa da esquerda interrompe ou vai continuamente, mas que não haja a ultrapassagem do veículo para não ter o acidente com a moto. Então, esta sinalização, onde tem o X, o veículo ainda pode ultrapassar a faixa azul, porém, a partir de um ponto, ele tem a linha contínua onde proíbe a ultrapassagem. Então, ele não pode mais entrar à esquerda, ele vai ter que ir até o próximo retorno. Então, é uma sinalização que foi criada exatamente para esta finalidade, onde tem as conversões e é um ponto, um trecho de conflito maior entre o veículo e a moto. E aqui, desculpe, a terceira é apenas uma, onde posso notar uma conversão. Aqui ele ainda pode fazer, mas ele tem 2 faixas, então não dá risco, 3 faixas, então ele pode ir em frente.
So this picture shows to you on the left the special design signs. We use blue reflectives on the car lights to highlight the blue line. On the other 2 pictures, we have the blue line crossed that indicates an area of conflict with cars. So both motorcycles and drivers must take more attention to change their lanes.
Não? Ok. Foto, a faixa da esquerda interrompe, então onde está vindo a faixa azul seria interrompido. Então criamos também uma sinalização de forma que a faixa azul não sofre descontinuidade e há um zebrado aqui com algum dispositivo para o veículo não vir em frente. Então, a faixa azul está preservada nesses locais onde você tem a conversão. Esta foto mostra bem um lado da via que tem a faixa azul, organizado, todos na faixa, sem conflito. E aqui a gente pode ver, no outro sentido, ainda não foi implantado, as motos disputando os espaços, como é normal em toda a cidade, em todo o país. E a gente vê, então, a diferença entre a faixa azul e a pista no sentido contrário, onde não tem a faixa azul.
So in these pictures, we can see a solution for left conversation, for continuity of the blue lane. In the left picture, we have the two hands of the same way. We can see the motorcycles running by the blue lane on the right, and in the left we can see the motorcycles disputing its spaces between the cars and at all the spaces that are empty.
Apenas detalhe do projeto, onde aquela situação, esse trecho ainda pode fazer, nesse trecho não mais para o veículo que vai fazer a conversão, assim como o outro sentido. Então é uma sinalização nova que foi criada para preservar a segurança do motociclista em relação ao automóvel.
So this is a project view of the image that we saw before. On the left turning, we have the continuity of the blue lane on a U-turn.
Também foram feitas várias pesquisas com o motociclista e com o condutor do automóvel. Quase 97% de aprovação por parte do motociclista e 87% por parte do motorista. Ou seja, ambos acreditam no projeto e verificaram que há um benefício não só para a moto, mas também para o veículo, na medida que ele, o motorista, melhorou a visibilidade, ele não tem mais aquela dificuldade de enxergar a moto, que muitas das vezes está do lado, e dessa forma ele consegue uma disciplina do espaço de forma que possa trafegar. E eu gostaria de lembrar que a moto, esta faixa, ela não é exclusiva para a moto. O veículo pode ultrapassar com cuidado, não é uma motofaixa, é uma sinalização de um espaço para a moto, mas não é exclusiva da moto.
So this we run an opinion poll. We constantly do this opinion poll to measure what the opinion between the drivers and the motorcyclists, and we got these results proving that we are going to the right way. We must highlight that the blue lane isn't exclusively used for motorcycles. Cars still can change lanes up the blue lane without having any fine, but they must pay more attention for that signaling. Right.
Ok. É uma equação que nós obtemos do DENIT. DENIT é um Departamento Nacional de Trânsito do Brasil, e também em diversas teses acadêmicas, chamado taxa de severidade, onde eu, utilizando sinistro com vítima, sem vítima, acidentes com pedestre, volumes, acidentes fatais, trechos, e eu obtenho aqui um cálculo que eu posso fazer um comparativo da moto fora da faixa azul e a moto na faixa azul, ok? Então, ela é um comparativo do risco, quanto aumenta o risco do que está fora e do que está dentro da faixa. E aqui nós podemos ver na Avenida 23 de Maio, que é uma avenida de grande circulação de veículos. Essa avenida, ela passa por hora 2.000 motos por hora e um volume bem alto com transporte coletivo. A gente vê que é, em média, 50% o risco fora do que dentro da faixa. Já na Avenida dos Bandeirantes, que é uma via com características mais críticas, com transporte, com caminhões, é uma via que liga a Baixada Santista, a portuária, região portuária, praticamente 75% é o risco a mais onde não tem a faixa azul.
So we take injury severity rate, where we see the number of accidents with victims, without victims, with pedestrians, and the number of fatal accidents. And we took it all in a formula that we can calculate a severity rate for the sections that we deployed the blue lane. So 23 of May Avenue, it's a avenue in São Paulo that we have a traffic of about 2,000 motorcycles per hour, and that we can see a reducing about 50% of the injury severity rate. And Avenida dos Bandeirantes, we have a different kind of traffic. We have a lot of trucks there, and there we can see a reduction of about 75% of the severity rate in the accidents.
Uma foto de uma grande avenida na cidade de São Paulo, demonstrando ambos os lados com a faixa azul. E já concluindo, gostaria de comentar um dado importante. A primeira faixa azul foi implantado aproximadamente 2 anos e 4 meses. A segunda tem 1 ano e meio. As demais estão com 5 meses. E neste tempo todo, 0 mortes. 0. A Avenida dos Bandeirantes nós tivemos em 20 meses 10 óbitos, só motociclista. Então, e também os acidentes com gravidade reduziram quase a 100%. Os acidentes são sempre de baixa severidade, o que é muito bom. A nossa proposta inicial era para a redução de 30% em acidentes e mortes. Alcançamos um número muito maior. Então foi muito bom, está sendo um projeto muito positivo e com os 200 quilômetros, com certeza vai avançar na redução de mortes e acidentes graves, que é um benefício para todos.
So we are getting to the end. We want to highlight that the first blue lane was deployed on the January 22, and since that we could reach no deaths in this lane, and the 90 kilometers that we have already deployed in São Paulo, about 6 months, we have no deaths too. And more than this, we could reduce the severity of the injuries, that's the accidents when it's happened. We aimed initially with the project to reduce about 30% of the injuries and deaths, but we are collecting great results with this program. So this is it. We want to thank you. Sorry for the time. Thank you all.
Bueno, pues muchísimas gracias.
Thank you very much.
So far, Sao Paulo, it was such an interesting presentation that I wouldn't. I decided not to interrupt it. It's a really innovative experience, and we're running out of time. But nevertheless, I feel like raising very in short answers, very short questions. So, I think it's obvious after your presentation, but positive or negative conclusion after your experience? Positive, I guess.
By now, ele perguntou sobre as conclusões positivas ou negativas. Eu posso responder direto? Não, pode. By now, we are having positive conclusions because our expectations were spurred by this project. We got an experiment with about 20 kilometers initially, and now we are aiming to deploy 200 kilometers in São Paulo, building a transportation net for the motorcyclists to go to the far east of the city, to west, and from south to north. There's an important issue about the motorcyclist deaths in São Paulo too, as we saw in the many other countries, and we are looking to take care about that.
Okay. If you would start this project again, what would you do different from you did at the beginning?
Ele está falando, se a gente começasse o projeto de novo, o que faríamos de diferente?
Se começasse...
O projeto novamente, o que faria de diferente?
Acho que não está. Ok? Gostaria de comentar duas situações. Anos atrás, nós implantamos em São Paulo 2 corredores, a motofaixa na pista, e não deu certo. Nós tivemos vários acidentes, inclusive com pedestre, e tivemos que desativar. Passaram-se os anos com o aumento de mortes, acidentes graves, e sempre estando, apesar de outras ações forem implantadas, mas não resolveriam, não tinha dados positivos das ações. O projeto Faixa Azul, ele foi instituído após uma série de problemas que nós tivemos, inclusive manifestações de sindicatos motociclistas, e o que faríamos a seguir seria aperfeiçoar, porque as características de cada via, elas não são iguais, elas têm diferenças. E aí nós precisamos estudar os pontos de forma que atenda à segurança do motociclista. E outra questão, foi falado hoje, é a questão da fiscalização. É importante, principalmente no início da implantação. O motociclista tem, ele acha que a tendência de aumentar a velocidade, porque ele tem um espaço livre, e a tendência é aumentar. Depois ele começa a repensar e sabe que muitas vezes a moto, ele corre muito e se arrisca para chegar no seu destino no tempo que é necessário. Quando ele tem esse espaço, ele sabe que ele vai chegar sem nenhuma interrupção. Então, esta é uma grande vantagem do projeto. Então, seria observações em pontos, melhorar a questão também da luminosidade, às vezes, da via noturna, às vezes tem dificuldade. Então, todos esses aspectos aí poderíamos mencionar em estar ajustando um projeto que até agora está dando muito certo.
He said about to take care about some points of the blue lane deployment we have on the main streets of São Paulo, taking care about some points about the infrastructure, not about the traffic by itself. Some points that needs more public illumination, or some points that needs changing of the lanes and the infrastructure in general. We also have done 2 years before another experience that were exclusively lanes for motorcycles that are in the left of the streets. And this experiment didn't went well because the behavior of the motorcyclists and even the pedestrians that do not wait for the green light to cross the street, and we have some problems with that experience, and we have to stop it. And today with the blue lane, that's the different characteristics. We took in consideration the behavior of the motorcyclists that already exists, and we think that this is a key point to by now, the success of the project.
And we're completely out of time, and risking the health of my colleague Lara, I will raise one final question, which is, and very shortly, please, since you have these positive conclusions, you think this solution should be extended in other cities, even in other countries? You think this solution is really useful for other cities in other countries, and even, for instance, for European cities?
We think that the main point is to look to the behavior of the motorcyclists. In São Paulo, we have a 1.3 million fleet of motorcycles, and they have a particularly behavior in the traffic. So we take a lot of care about this behavior, and we think that yes, it can be deployed in other cities, but the traffic engineers must include the motorcyclists and associations and even unions to hear from them what's the problem, because sometimes the engineer that is behind in your desktop don't leave the problem, and we take care about this. We take these people to explain about the problem and try to deploy it the best way possible.
Ángel, ¿lo probamos? ¿Tú crees? Es una broma.
Angel, shall we try it? Do you think this will work in a European city? Should we introduce a pilot project? Well, I am sure that if we had motorways such as like São Paulo's with 4 or 5 lanes and no traffic lights, we might consider it, so it might be a solution as regards access to cities. 4 or 5 lanes, maybe. No, I don't see that will work here. And since the DGT is here as well, I don't think we can authorize the traveling of motorcycles in the side lane. The reducing of speed to 30 kilometers per hour is much more practical for us. Creating specific lanes for even bicycles, motorcycles, buses, vehicles, family cars. That means we will have streets or roads which are so wide, we don't have them. Our cities are old, they're not modern cities, and the modes of transport, from the most vulnerable to the collective modes of transport, etc., they have to share the space without segregation, without separation, or as little segregation as possible. I think the experience in Sao Paulo is marvelous, but I think they are different cities. You have very fluid roads. If there is traffic jams, I don't think the motorbikes will use that blue lane. I don't see how it can work in Barcelona. In any case, I think the interesting thing today was to see a diversity of perspectives, of problems, of solutions. And that's all as regards the roundtable on local policies. I really want to apologize for the delay. I am sure that tomorrow with less videos. There's no videos tomorrow, so we will be able to manage our timetable better.